about how to keep display center, how we can keep center and display center, and whatever flexible attributes are there. Next, you need to understand another option is CSS text effects. What are various text effects available? How to handle them? We have seen borders, we have seen backgrounds, we have seen shadow and margins, paddings, how we can keep alignments, center, flexible designs. Responsive design is also there. I will tell you later. Now next, you need to understand about text effects. How we can configure the text effects and display text effects. Actually, in text effects, some options are important. So we can define the text direction. In text effects, so many options are there. One is text direction. To control the text direction, you have an option called writing mode. Writing mode. By using writing mode attribute, we can change the text direction, like horizontal. Horizontal, you have attribute top to bottom, TB. So we have like vertical. So vertical, you have options right to left. So we have options vertical, right, left to right. Like this, you have options. But these are just simple directions. We can adjust more directions with the 2D, 3D effects. With CSS 2D, 3D, we can rotate, we can flip, we can stretch, you can do so many. These are simple options available. For example, so let's see how we can handle these effects. I will add a new file. So CSS text effects .html. Let's add one file here. So doc type HTML head and title some text effects. Okay. And now I am adding the body section. Fine. In this, we have a div. Let's keep this div class as container. And inside this, I am adding a div and some text, some CSS tutorial. Okay. Some paragraph, something about CSS. Now, this is the container. We are keeping this container here. So generally, in that we are adding the style. And the style, so we are configuring for container class. For container class, let's add some effect like display as flexible display. And we will apply some effect like suppose box style. We will add this with a class called box. Similarly, I will add another box. So that is 2 boxes are there. We can have any other heading also. Suppose some Naresh Technologies. And some address or something here. Some hr@nareshid.in. Okay. Usually, this is a flexible display. It keeps the content side by side. That is the flexible display keeping the content side by side. Now, what we need to do here is orientation here, text orientations we need to manage. So here I'm adding the box. So both are using box class. I'm using box. And like border as 2 pixel, solid dark CN. And width as 3. Now one horizontal vertical direction. You see now, suppose for this I will give the class as horizontal. Okay. Let's give this class as vertical. 2 classes. For horizontal, what effect you want to give? I can give here right to bottom. Horizontal top to bottom writing mode. It will give here the writing mode top to bottom in this way. That is the horizontal top to bottom. That is general. Suppose here this is horizontal. Now I want some vertical effect. Suppose that is general. So vertical. Let's change the direction and see here. So for vertical, so writing mode. So we are giving writing mode. Writing mode, I am giving vertical right to left. Right to left. So that is the vertical mode. It will come like this. Right to left side it will handle. Top to bottom it will be like this. One below another it will keep that. So if I given as left to right, and it will be in this way. Left to right side, the content will be arranged. We can give right to left so that we can handle in that direction. Horizontal also, when you are keeping the horizontal direction, so that means writing mode. So horizontal top to bottom, only one option available. You can keep only this one. That is the default. Suppose you want 60 degrees, 40 degrees, 70 degrees, you want to rotate. In that case, you have to add 2D, 3D effects, which you will see in the next level. We will see how to handle that in the next level. So that means 2D, 3D effects, how we can design and how we can configure that in the next level we will see. So in that we can rotate in any direction we want. This is just horizontal, vertical writing modes we can so change. For that we have these writing modes. Different writing modes are used, but we don't prefer this much because we can do more better with 2D and 3D. So after the introduction of 2D and 3D options, we are not much using them because in 2D and 3D, any direction you can rotate. In any degree, any angle you can rotate. So better you can use with 2D, 3D options also. So this is generally used for various other languages like Chinese, Korean, Japanese, such language contents when they are presenting. Their orientations require vertically top to bottom, left to right like that, right to left and all. For such situations, we can use this. Otherwise, we don't need much. We will use 2D and 3D options on. This is just to control the text direction. That is writing mode. We have text overflow. Overflow already we learned. Overflow, I showed you 3 options are there. If you remembered, what are those 3 options in overflow? Overflow can be written with overflow option. How many options are there in overflow? We saw in several examples, right? drop downs, list box, list of list items, scrolling the list items. How many options are available? How many options are available in overflow? Remember? Do you remember them? In inter-document navigation, I showed you overflow options. How many are there? Remember the overflow options? What overflow options we have learned? Can you tell me? What are the overflow options we have seen? Remembered anything? So we can put overflow as scroll, overflow as hidden, overflow as auto. Remember these are? We used these options in several examples. Inter-document navigations. We learned several examples on that. So no need to explain examples on this, because if you remembered, so when we learned about forms, check boxes and all. So when we designed check boxes, a combination of options, we learned about how to create checkbox list. In the forms option, we learned checkbox list, how to create a checkbox list and design a checkbox list. Okay, I will just give you an overview for that. So suppose one more option is, yeah, let's add a new file here, overflow HTML. So how do we create any content to overflow? Almost several examples we have seen that, but just overview I am giving. Overflow, and in the body section, so we have a div. So in that we have some unordered list item. Input type is equal to checkbox, and similarly we are adding some checkboxes, and yeah, these checkboxes will have some names, items, options defined here. So like some courses, like some Java, like some .NET, so like some PHP, so like Python, and some Oracle. So some options, I'd say some full stack. Okay, now I want to display this div. We want to display that div in a scrollable. Already we designed that, if you remembered. So this unordered list, so we will put a style, and the unordered list, so we'll have list style as none, and for unordered list we are giving the option that is height is equal to some 200 pixel and the border as 2 pixels solid. Okay, and that is this. Okay, so width is equal to some 200 pixel. Width also adjusted here. Yeah, height we can set it to more. So height I set it to some 50 or 60 pixel. Okay, that is the height. Whatever overflows, we will put overflow as hidden. Extra content will hide, but hiding is not the solution. We have to keep it scroll, and here it will scroll. Scroll will put a horizontal, vertical scroll bar, both of them. Then better we can put auto. Only which one is required, it will keep that. That is scroll. So this can be handled by using this auto. That is overflow for a paragraph or for any list, you can keep the content as overflow and you can configure the content as overflow. So that is general option. So how we can define and how we can configure the overflow options. So overflow is basically required for displaying the content which are more than the screen area that we have defined. For that we need this. Already we saw in several examples we have designed this overflow options. 3 options will be there: overflow auto and overflow scroll and overflow hidden. You can define these 3. So that is basically what is required for displaying extra content. Next important, we have text overflow, we have text direction, and we have text styling. Text styling, so many attributes are there. So we have like already, these also some we know, but I will keep all of them at one place. So in text styling, actually styling, so you have color, font family. So we have font size, font style, and we have font weight. So we have text transform. We have text decoration. We have text shadow. We have text align. These are all text related options. We have line height. We have letter spacing. We have word spacing. We have font variant. We have text indent. We have text overflow. We have white space. All these are text related options. We have text direction, which already we know, direction, and we have text orientation. So many options are there for handling the text. I will show you all these simple, so you can easily understand, and it's already known. Color, text color. Font family, that means you can apply the font face. We can apply font face. And obviously we already learned. This is where the question is asked. So what are web safe fonts? Remember, what are web safe fonts? What are web safe fonts? Remember what are web safe fonts? Yes, good. So we have web safe fonts like serif, sans serif, right? Sans serif, and we have like monospace. I already given you that in a general fonts concept. Font color, font family, font size, how much you want. Font style means bold, italic, right? So, but here the font style means italic. Font weight means bold. Font text transform means capital, uppercase, lowercase, capital letters, title case. Text decoration means strikeout, underline, shadow, alignments, line height, distance between the lines. You can adjust them. I will show you simply how we can handle. Suppose let's create another page for this text effects.html. All are simple options, so I will show you at one place itself all of them. So in head, title, so text effects. So title, text effects. So I am defining the text effects. In the body section, here I am configuring. So generally we need to handle the text effects and configure them. What we have to do is Let's put one simple paragraph for testing. Just one paragraph, some testing, some sample text. Sample text. Okay, let's add the style. Already you know all the styles for div. So what are the options available? Color. So we can apply text color. Okay. Font family. That means we can apply font faces like Arial, like cursive, like this font family. Okay. Next, font size. Font size, how many pixels? Some 30 pixels. Okay. Font style. Font style means we can keep it as italic. Font weight. Font weight you can keep it as bold, bolder by specific pixels. Okay. Initially these are already known to us. So these are very simple and already known to us. These are all text effects. It has bold, it has italic, it has font size, it's font color. So these options are very common. We have options like text transform, text decoration. Text transform text transform allows uppercase. You can keep everything into uppercase. That means all will be uppercase letters. You can keep lowercase. All will be lowercase letters. You can keep capitalize. It will be every word first letter caps. Every word first letter caps will be there. These are text transforms. So we have text decoration. Text decoration you can give. So here actually text decoration is shortcut. Text decoration have three options actually. Text decoration style. You can have text decoration style, color and effect. You can add, all the three can be applied directly. Suppose you see text decoration. So we have style. Style like double, dotted, dashed, solid. Suppose I give wavy. That means text decoration style is wavy. That means it will have a wavy style. But for that we have to give color and width also. So text decoration color. Text decoration color, suppose blue. So that means it will be wavy blue. Text decoration will be wavy blue. But width also you have to. So that means how much width you have to define the text decoration. Text decoration line. I will give as underline. So that means I given an underline. Text decoration line is underline. Text decoration style is wavy. Text decoration color is blue. Line is underline or strikeout. You can add that. You can see it will be like this. It depends on what font style you have given. It will apply that. Suppose the font family is some like Arial is the font family. Then it will apply that here. Depending on what content. You can put a different color for that. You can put a different color for underline and all. So here text decoration line, you can give underline, you can give line through. Line through will give like strikeout. So we can give like underline. And if you don't want, you can give as none. That's what I showed you. Text decoration can be set to none. Actually, these three options we can individually define, or all together can be defined as text decoration. Text decoration, you can write wavy, blue, underline, it will get all the effects. That is how you can give text decoration. Text shadow also present. Suppose I will remove italic and bold. Okay, I removed italic and bold. It will be like this. And I will remove that decoration style. Okay, I want to give shadow, just like box shadow. Just like box shadow. So suppose I set 60, that is text shadow. So just we can define text shadow. Just like box shadow, horizontal pixels, vertical pixels, blur pixels, and color. color is like gray, and it will give you that shadow. You can see text have shadow. So shadow color I will give as some, it will give that color yellow. Already we know 3 points. Box shadow I explained. This is horizontal, this is vertical, and this is blur. Suppose horizontal I given as some 8 pixels. That means shadow will move right side. And vertical I given as 5 or 8 pixels. Vertical it will move down. So you can apply at any direction, you can configure and display at any direction. That is basically done by using this. This is text shadow, just like box shadow. And of course, text alignment we know already. Text alignment we learned. So text align left, center, right. It keeps the alignment there. And line height, letter spacing, word spacing. Line height, letter spacing, word spacing, same. This is for paragraphs or ordered list or unordered list. We can apply that easily. Suppose if we have some paragraph of information, so you can easily apply the line height and configure it. So suppose you see, we have some paragraphs of information. So we have some paragraphs of information inside this div. Okay. And generally, what we can have here is, we can adjust this line. So we have line height some, so 5 pixels, and you can see it will adjust by 5 pixels. Suppose I want like 25 pixel, it will be more space between line. So 45 pixel, it will be more space between lines. You can keep space between the words. So word spacing. So 10 pixels, the space between words will increase. We can keep letter spacing. So letter spacing, we can keep 5 pixel letter spacing. Every letter some space will come. All these are text options. And these are very simple and easy to understand also. No need to worry much about them. So we can easily apply some effects and values, they will be affected. That is text shadow, line height, line letter spacing, word spacing. Font variant is similar to actually text transform. Font variant means here also you can give uppercase. But what is difference is, generally font variant means, suppose we have heading, suppose one div, welcome, another div, so that is also welcome. Both are there. So here we are applying effects like class P1 and here the class P2. So that means 2 options are there. You can see welcome. I am applying P1 by using text transform as uppercase. It will convert that into uppercase. That's good. And here for P2, I will apply as font variant caps. But here also we have small caps. It is also uppercase. But the point is, without changing the size, it will convert into capital letters. Generally, when it converts to capital letters, it changes the size. Without changing the size, it converts to capital letters. So you can see that without changing the size, converts to capital letters. Here it will change the size. Font variant is used to change the size without converting into capital letters. That's how generally it can manage the options. So that is how we can apply the effects and configure the effects. So this is generally text related font variants, how you can configure and define them. So line text alignment, line height, so letter and word spacing, and how you can change the variant without changing the content. One more very important option is we have to know about text overflow. We have a combination text overflow, white space. So we have to use combination overflow, white space, text overflow. These three are combinations. We have to write in a combination, otherwise they don't work. We have to use them with combination. So how we can define them in combinations? So means how we can configure them. So let's see, suppose when you are dealing with some lengthy paragraphs, so let's keep a div and some paragraph information we will paste there. Okay, so generally some paragraph information. So I will add some sentence also. I mean, some more content is there. I will copy some paragraph here. Okay. Now for this div, we are applying the effects. Some heading or some other information it may there. Suppose I said some about product, something. Now generally in the div we have that, and display it will be in this way. Now what we want to do is we want to apply some effects. So for the div, I am writing for the div. This is having text justify. Okay. That is align, right? Text align to justify. Okay. And the width is 200 pixel. Height also 100 pixel. And border as 2 pixels solid. Due to this, what happens is you can see the content will be like this. So you have a lot of content to show. You have a lot of content to show. So suppose width is some 300, height is some 120. We have a lot of content to show. But we cannot show all that content here. Generally in websites what they do, they will just put ... and they say more. You can put a link there and a user can click that more link and they can get information. So now how we can handle that? That means what you can do is you have to write overflow hidden. That means extra content will hide. Not only that, generally text, it comes to next line automatically when it reaches the border. It should continue in one line only, not next line. Then what we have to do is, so white space. We have to write white space as no wrap. That means it should not wrap, then it will continue in one line only. It will not come to next line. But we have to tell the people that right side there is so much information. You can put a link there, but how you can tell that? What we can do is we can use an option called text overflow ellipse. When I use text overflow ellipse, automatically it will be like this. It will keep ... So that symbol indicates that there is some more content there. Actually, some more content is there, but we will not display that content. We will hide it and we will put a link. When user clicks that link, it can go to that content. Or they don't put, that means generally sometimes people may think like, okay, if I have to show like that, so I will write like some welcome to HTML and I will put ... No, we don't write like this ... What we do is we put that by using effects. With word wrapping, we will display like that. That means genuinely there is content. If I adjust the width, automatically if I adjust the width, now the content will be shown more and it will be adjusting. The ... will come after the showing the content which fits into that width. This is important. Why? Because later if dynamically width changes, then it will show more contents. So that is how we display this. We don't simply write dot dot dot. We will use this technique. We will use this technique. That is one important one. But remember, this requires combination. Suppose if I am not writing white space, only text overflow ellipse, then it will not work. Why? Because it will work only when line continues. If it comes to next line, it will not work. To continue in a line, you have to use white space, no wrap. Then it will be displayed. Combination is important. If I don't give overflow hidden, text overflow will not work. We have to use combination of all of these three. Then only it will work. So we need combination of overflow, white space, and text overflow. Then it is going to apply in a perfect way. Right? Sometimes if lengthy content is there, we also use an option called word break. That means sometimes what happens, lengthy content will be there towards the right side. Then we have to break the words. Otherwise, see, if I don't give justify alignment, and I will remove this overflows and all these options, you can see width and height. You can see the content like this. Suppose what I will do is height as some 300 pixels. Okay. 300 or 350 pixels like this. Okay. And width I will adjust. Okay. You see now, this is the content. Right side unevenness will come. Then many times you may think like, okay, I will put justify. But what problem is there with justify is, suppose I am adjusting here size. The problem with justify is to cover this gap right side. It will use more gap between words, then it looks uneven. That means word gap will be very much lengthy. Due to that, what you can do is we can use an option called, instead of justifying, we can use an option called margin. So we can put margin. First margin. So we said 0. That is margin left. And right, we will put auto. Margin right will be auto. And we will keep word break. We have an option called word break. Word break, we will say break all. This word break all, you can see that. So lengthy words will not come to next line. Device, D, and rest of them continues in the next line. Microsoft, it will break that word and continues next line. Locate, so it will continue to next line. This is word break. So generally, if justify things means justify is not good, then because it is giving more spaces, then we can use break all. That's very good. This will keep the alignments correctly. It will justify and keep the content correctly. So that is how you define word breaks. Means how to configure word breaks and specify the word breaks. So technically, when you are dealing with paragraph, lengthy paragraph, then we have to use these options. So we have to add these all options. But text orientations, we are not using much here. These days we are using text orientations, everything with the help of basic 3D and 2D options, because those old options are no longer good for presenting the content. So generally for handling the list, handling the paragraphs, these are all text, these are all the options. Orientation, as I told you, direction and orientations, we prefer using 2D and 3D options. Rest of all these are general text related effects. Already in various occasions we used them, but we have to know all together at one place, how to manage and how to work with them. Right. So next important in CSS, after understanding text, we have options. We have list styles. List style means when you are presenting the list, what are the various options for list? How you can define. Already some options we learned, but detailedly you have to know. Suppose if you remembered, suppose if you are creating an ordered list, I told you how we can keep. So here we are creating an ordered list item, some HTML, list item, CSS, list item, JavaScript. Already few things I explained, how to remove that list. For list items, I don't want that numbering 1, 2, 3. We can remove. Another important point is for this, we can put our own symbols, our own images we can keep. That also I told you. So we discussed in ordered list itself. So we can put our own icons. For that, we have to use list style image. We have to apply an URL and you have to configure that. So usually that is options, but what technically it contains, list I will give you. Actually, we have list style. List style is having a type. List style type means you can keep disk, you can keep circle, you can keep square, you can use decimal. So you can use different even languages. You can use different languages. So you can use like Tamil. So you can use Telugu like this. Languages you can use Hindi. So you can use languages. But unfortunately, all browsers don't support them. Some browsers can't understand that. That is problem we are having with these languages. But its type can be defined with various options because you see, so suppose we have this list style. So we are having ordered list. Ordered list, we have list style type. List style type, you can see so many types are there. We can all add these types. We can add all these types. We can configure all these types. Suppose I defined as leading 0, decimal leading 0. Then it has to display like this 0, 1, 0, 2, 0, 3. So styles we can configure in several ways. Predefined styles will be there. Actually, type can be like some Telugu. Like this. That means I'm using that style. It will display that in that particular language. So I said some like Hindi. So you can see it has to display that, but it is not supported. So we have some options like, so we defined some Tamil and you can see that is not displayed. All options are not supported in every browser, only few. So few options. Suppose I written as some Kannada and you can see those are supported. Some supported, some not supported. Browser don't support all of them. So generally we can add some effects. We can configure some effects. So list styles, we can use some native languages also. You can apply by using this attribute. So you can configure symbols also. Different types of anonymous symbols you can configure. You can add symbols. So there are symbols also we can configure. Instead of symbol, we can use icons. Our own custom icons we can define. Icons are very important. Our own icons already I showed you. You can put list style image. If I keep list style image, I can apply any image and display that image. So you can do that. So basically, these are options very much important. So generally, if you want to configure the list, so these are the options we have to define. And this is only type, means how you can add the list type. But list styles are having so many other options also, not only type. You can define color for that. You can define image. There is another option which already we discussed, if you remembered. List style image. Image is nothing but already we learned it uses an URL. You have to specify which image. I showed you already, we discussed about that. One more option is we have list style position. List style position. Position can be keep inside or outside. That means it can keep outside or inside. That means usually if your list style is having a border, then you can keep the items inside the border or outside the border. You can add them inside, outside the border. Usually, suppose, so this is by default list style. Suppose it is having border as 2 pixel solid. Okay. And this is having the width as some 200 pixel. This is the list style we have defined. Generally, we have an option for every item. There can be borders and configure them. This is ordered list. Suppose I given for list item. That means every list item will be like this. When every list item is like this, I defined as line height as 20 pixels. That means you can see some space should become. But line height is available only for if there are continuous, not like ordered list items. So here obviously we will give option like margin top or margin bottom, which already we were doing from so many days. Margin bottom will keep that. But see here the numbering is present outside. That's what we can configure actually. List style position we can keep inside. List style position inside, it will keep that numbering inside. You can keep that numbering outside or inside. By default it is outside. You can keep inside. If you don't want any numbering, then better you can give none. None is for removing the numbering. So you can apply. Now if you want to define with colors and effects, you can do that. So already in so many examples we learned. So list style will have, so list style image, list style position, and list style type. These three options are very commonly used for list styles, working with the list styles. Generally when you are configuring lists, then these are the options we use for the list. So these are the options used for list. So next important, so we have float in CSS, float property in CSS, how we can use float in CSS. Already in two options only I told you, right? Float is already we learned. We can give float two options I told you if you remembered. Float can be right and float can be left. So it will take to right and left. You cannot keep in the center. Only two attributes are available for float. So left and right. So there are no other options. Already for images, I told you, if you remembered examples, we can float the content right and left. These two options are there. So these are all CSS related basic effects, how we can apply. The basic CSS effects, how we can manage and apply. Now, once you know all these text, borders, padding, margins, in real-time projects, we don't try to apply them directly with so much manual effect. What we do is we try to apply these by using Bootstrap, which I will show you. Which is not satisfying with Bootstrap, then we will write manually to modify them. But in real time, so we have to know all this. But in real time, we don't write this much because in real world projects, we need shortcuts. And for that, we implement a library like Bootstrap and jQuery. So by using that, we can build it fast and more simplified. But without knowing these attributes, you cannot customize them if you want to customize. That is the reason we have to learn all these attributes. But it will make more simple. Without these attributes, we can create presentation in Bootstrap, which we will learn. Next, after understanding the basic, CSS options. Now we need to know another important CSS 2D and 3D transforms. We have to know about CSS animations. So, and CSS responsive designs. These three are very important for a CSS designer. CSS 2D and 3D transforms are simple. We can easily understand, we can easily handle them. Actually, CSS 2D and 3D transforms. CSS 2D is two-dimensional actually, two-dimensional. Two-dimensional means it will apply in x-axis and y-axis. That means horizontal and vertical. 3D, third dimension will be there. I will show you. Two-dimension effects generally they are used to change the position of object, position of object. So we can change the size of object. We can change the orientation of object. We can stretch, we can skew. These are all very much required for creating effects, animations and effects. These are all very much required. So that's the reason we have to know how to handle them, how we can manage and work with them. So what are the CSS 2D? But one problem is these two-dimensional 2D transformations and all, they will not support on every browser again. That is the reason as a CSS designer, we have to use some special plugins. So CSS 2D attributes are not supported on every browser. So you need special plugins to define. That is important. What are the special plugins to define? Generally, we have plugin called, so one is a plugin called WebKit. WebKit is a plugin. It is used for Chrome, Safari, Opera, all these browsers. We use WebKit. Earlier we have a separate plugin for Opera also, but now we use WebKit only. And we have a plugin called Moz, M-O-Z. This is for Firefox. For Firefox browser, we use this plugin. And Internet Explorer. So for that we have MS. MS is for Internet Explorer. And WebKit is enough for the recent that is Edge-like. So many browsers are supported under WebKit only. Not only these, several other browsers are supported under WebKit. That means actually we have an attribute called transform. This attribute will not work on every browser. That's the reason as a developer we have to write it 4 times. We have to write transform. We have to write WebKit-transform. We have to write Mozilla transform. We have to write MS transform. Earlier we used to write Opera transform also. That means actually one is enough, but we have to write 5 times because we don't know which browser user will use. According to that, we have to write. So that is the reason it will take so much problem with browsers to understand your 2D and 3D. But 2D and 3D are very much important to give more effectiveness to your presentation. With 2D, 3D only we can create more effective presentations. So in 2D, so many options are there. So transform, so generally transform is used for handling so many things. Like we have translate. Translate is used to change the direction. That means to move from one place to another place, we need translate. We have translate X it will move along x-axis. Translate y, that is move along y-axis. Translate is used for moving object. Moving object along x and y-axis. Along x and y-axis. Translate both x-axis and y-axis. Translate x only one direction, y only one direction. So see here, we can use that for various purpose here. So many effects. Suppose I am giving image. So width is 100 and height also 100. Image source is equal to, so assets some shoe.jpg. I am giving like this. Now you can see this is the image. I am writing here img. So this is initial. Width and height you can directly write like this. So okay. So by default, so for image I am giving as, so margin left, margin left 10 pixels I am giving. Now when image, we have an option hover. Hover means mouse pointer is over. When image is hover, then what we will do is we will transform. We will use translate x, it will move x-axis to 300 pixels. Okay, now you can see that when I move the mouse onto it, it will go to 300 pixels and again it comes back. When I move mouse onto it, it go to 300 pixels, it come back. But the transformation, translate is to move, but it is taking just a fraction of 1 second to go to 300. But this transformation should take some time, not immediately. Then I will use transition 2 seconds or 2 milliseconds or 5 seconds. You have to give in seconds. If you want minutes also, you have to give in seconds. 60, 120 like that. That means from changing 10 to 300 pixels, it will take 2 seconds. Again coming back should be 2 seconds. So again transition, initial transition also 2 seconds. That means coming back also 2 seconds. You see now what will happen. When I move the mouse onto it, it will slowly move there. And remove that, then it will come back. This is translate. Translate is moving along x-axis. We can use translate y. So translate y, it will move along y-axis. You can see it will move along y-axis. That is translate y. We can give both directions. That means just translate. Translate will move both directions. That means x and y. When I move the mouse onto it, it will go both directions. But we have to give both directions here. So we have to use translate. And translate means 2 options we have to give, x-axis, y-axis also. Y-axis also 300 pixels. That means our y-axis is 200 pixels. Then it can handle both in this way. It can get into that direction and display. Translate is to move the object from one location to another. But it will take just 1 fraction of second to move. We need to keep it slow. Then we have to add transition. This is transform. Transform, that is translate. Translate is nothing, and as I already told you, this may not work on every browser. That's the reason we have to write it 4 times. WebKit, we have to write WebKit transform. So translate. We have to write 300. So 300 pixel. So 200 pixel. The same thing we have to write 4 times. That means we have to say MS transition transform. So translate. So 300 pixels and 200 pixels. If you put a different value for different browsers, it will be different size, different location. That means the browsers which support WebKit plugin, they can work with one size, one direction. Another browser can work with another size. You can write different also. but we don't want that. We want same type of effects across. We have to write so many types. So Mozilla, Mozilla transform. So translate. So 300 pixels and 200 pixels. That's how we design. That's how we configure. To apply one option, we need so many things to define. But finally, effect will be same. Effect will be same. It should affect same. No change. Actually, one line is enough, but we don't know which browser they will use. That's the reason people have to write 4 times the same option. Every option they have to write in 4 times. That is to reduce the compatibility issues. This is only translate. In 2D, we have only translate. We have so many other options like, so we have change the size, stretch, tilting, rotating, so many options will be there that we will see in our next session. So to will design some examples with 2D and 3D. And if we learn 2D, 3D and animations, that's enough. Now we can go into bootstrap concept that we will see in tomorrow's session. Okay, tomorrow we'll continue with that.